Hi guys, I'm Caitlin and this is Book Chats, and today I'm talking about Ghost Talkers by Mary Robinette Kowal. This is an adult historical novel that involves supernatural elements. I have two comp titles, but unfortunately they are both YA. I don't read enough in this genre and this sphere to know what the adult comp titles will be, but I'm going to tell you guys that it reminded me a lot of the feel of In the Shadow of Blackbirds by Kat Winters and the Born of Illusion duology, which is by Terry Brown. And that is because the setting is very similar. It also reminded me of The Explosionist a little bit, but that one's very tenuous, so maybe not. This is set during the First World War. Basically, the British Army has a spirit corps, which is made up of mediums and their non-supernatural support crew. They have circles, and basically they have designed a way for soldiers who die to come report to the mediums, and then the mediums get kind of intelligence from them, and then they send it back to the front. It had a feel, and that those other two books had as well, of kind of this setting during the early 20th century where people kind of were having seances at parties, and there was this question of whether or not kind of spiritualism and mediums were real or not, and there were people debunking them and not. And then also this book in particular really deals a lot with kind of the futility of the First World War and just the gross loss of life and how utterly terrible all of those deaths were. I actually really enjoyed this book. This book is a little bit of a mystery element to it. Basically, it has that kind of spirit core in the First World War in the British Army, and it's largely made up of women, and it's hidden because they don't want the Germans to know about it, but the main character gets some intelligence that the Germans appear to know about it from her fiance, who is a intelligence officer. He's a spy, guys. He's a spy. And she is trying to investigate from her side of things the threat to the spirit corps, and she's kind of in charge of the mediums there, so she is trying to figure it out. So there's this mystery element of it as to what is going on in that aspect, and then there's the whole historical aspect of it, World War I, and then there's this kind of spiritualist supernatural element to it, and all of them were woven together very well. I really enjoyed it. The book was actually very bittersweet. I don't want to get into any spoiler territory, but it's a book set during a war, and it's set where the main point of view character is a medium who spends most of her time talking to ghosts of soldiers who come in, and it's just really clear the price of war, the price of the First World War. And at one point some deaths are happening specifically to just for deaths to happen, so that there are a lot of deaths so that it's harder for the mediums to do their work, and that is just devastating to read. And I think that the author does a really good job of just emphasizing how awful the price of war is. Anyway, I really enjoyed this book. I have only read one of Mary Robinette Kowal's books before. I read Shades of Milk and Honey, which I enjoyed, but I didn't feel compelled to pick up the sequels. But now I might do that, because what she's very good at, I believe, from the two books of hers that I've read, is taking a lot of different threads and binding them together in a really whole single novel, and I really enjoyed that about this book. Honestly, I didn't know what to expect going into this. I didn't know whether or not I would like it, and then I just really was delighted by how enjoyable it was. But I don't want you to think, when I say things like delighted, I don't want you to think it's a lighthearted fun romp, because it's not. It is very bittersweet, and I kind of think that I want to continue. She left the end of this very open so I feel like it's going to be part of a series. So I kind of want to continue, but I kind of don't, because I just your heart gets really wrung out, especially right at the end, and I'm I don't know, characters, So we'll see, but I would definitely recommend that you pick this up if you like reading books that are set during this time period, that are set during the First World War or during the Spanish influenza, or during this time period where spiritualism was a big topic of conversation in America and England. Then I would definitely encourage you to pick this up, because I think you might enjoy it. And let me know down below if you have read this book and what you think of it, and if not, if you read any of this author's other books, what you thought of those. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye! Also, a random side note, there's a character in it who is in the army and is a Tolkien, and I was at first I was like, oh, it's a nod to Tolkien, and then I was like, wait a minute, didn't Tolkien actually fight in the First World War? Wasn't that where he kind of some of the themes of his books came from? I don't remember. Some of you probably know better than me, but correct me if I'm wrong. I was like, oh, I wonder if that's a nod to the actual real life person.